I love pumpkins, and I love that the Dollar Tree has so many options. All three of these sized pumpkins are from the Dollar Tree. We're going to take these 3 pumpkins, some fabric, and a craft dowel stick, and we're going to turn it into something super high-end, high quality, and beautiful. And stores like Kirkland's and even Hobby Lobby, they charge so much for these. These are just some random pumpkins from the Dollar Tree and some fabric that I had on hand and a craft stick. I measured it by bringing up one of the corners onto the pumpkin because I want to make sure that fabric is going to be able to reach all the way around the sides of the pumpkin. And I'm going to cut up both sides so we can have a nice square. Now I believe it was probably about 13 by 13 for this pumpkin, maybe 14 by 14. I always like to with my fabric just so I don't have to cut another piece. I like to be a little generous. So I'm going to pull up one side, I'm going to pull up the other side, add some hot glue, and I'm using a popsicle stick just because this is a thinner fabric. I don't want to burn my finger. I'm going to press down so it's nice and snug, and I'm going to just keep pulling that fabric up on all the sides one by one so it's nice and tight. When I get to those extra pieces that are kind of poking off and not pulled tight, I just pleat the fabric. I tuck it in on the sides, keep pulling it and tugging it until I get it as smooth as I possibly can get it. You can see here I'm just working on this last little part where I've pulled it nice and tight. Now that that's done, you're going to need to cut a hole at the bottom of that pumpkin and at the top of the pumpkin. Where there's hot glue, it's going to be a little bit harder to cut that hole. It's not really that difficult. I'm just saying it's a little bit tougher. But you can see here that the dowel stick is going to go into the larger bottom pumpkin. We're going to add glue so it's all stuck together. And then we're going to add on this moss. You don't have to do the moss. I personally love moss. I know you've probably seen me use it a lot. If you've been watching for a while, especially in the fall time and Christmas time, I love using this moss. I added some moss, and then on the stick itself, I'm going to add some glue because I really want this to be quality. You know what I'm saying? I don't want it to fall apart at all. So I'm going to add some glue. I'm going to add some more moss. And then after that, I'm going to stack on my last pumpkin. And this turns into such a high quality, all supplies from the Dollar Tree except for that fabric. I had that on hand from, I think, Joann's. And you can get that fabric, I think, at Hobby Lobby too. But it's such a high quality piece and it's so beautiful. You could put it on any table in your home and it is such a showstopper. I hope you give this one a try because it's really fun to make. Using this Dollar Tree sign for $1.25, I am going to be using the Grateful Arrow. Go ahead and gently pop that off once you have it all released. I like to take my time popping it off. Once I've got it released, I'm going to use this scrap piece of peel and stick vinyl paper, and I'm going to just use my pen to trace around it. Now you'll notice that the sign that says Grateful is facing down towards the pattern on the vinyl sticker sheet, and that's because we're going to be making sure the cut is just perfect to put on the back to clean up the back side, because we're going to be turning this into a table topper decor piece. You could also hang it up on a hook, which will be really beautiful as well, even a doorknob if you wanted to. Now I had that backside all cleaned up pretty easy, right? We're going to take one of my all-time favorite tools in my craft room. This is the Crop-A-Dile, and it goes through metal and hard pieces of wood without hurting your hand. It's got a really great spring mechanism. I'm going to go ahead and put that to the side now that I've got a hole punched in it, and I highly recommend anytime you're working with wood beads and twine, you can create a needle head by just taking some painter's tape, washi tape, even regular clear tape, and just wrap that around to create a needle head so that the fraying of the twine doesn't take place. Go ahead and get that on there. so you've got a nice firm tip to be able to get the wood beads on without it fraying. And don't worry, I'm not going to hurt my fingers. As I was looking through this, I was like, oh, they're going to think I'm going to cut my fingers, but I promise I'm really good with scissors here. My craft room, I've been crafting for so many years. So now I'm going to go ahead and thread on all of my beads. Once I've got that pattern on there like I went with 2 rounded and then 1 squared. I liked just mixing up the beads. You can put whatever beads on here you want. Make sure that it's not too tight when you go to tie the ends on the back side of the sign, because it'll make it so that the sign doesn't lay flat. You want a little bit of wiggle room where the beads come into the sign and the hole. So you can just see here, I'm just kind of fussing around with it, making sure I get it right. And then I'm going to go ahead and double up my knot. You can take the twine if you want and thread those back up into the beads, but I just went ahead and cut mine off. Now, I could not believe I found this teapot. I've been looking for something like this forever. And so I started by just simply taking off the tape, got off any sticky residue. This packaging tape actually did a number on it, so I had to use some Goo Gone to get it off. But once I took everything off and made sure the surface was clean, I took it outside and spray painted this beautiful orange color. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to just sketch on a cute little face that I think will be so happy and friendly for my home for this fall season. Now I'm going to come in with my paintbrush. I'm using an angled paintbrush, and I'm going to just take my time painting on this face because there's no rush. I really do love painting. It feels so therapeutic for me to use my hands and to take my time painting. So I'm just going around the corners, and I will say, because this angle is right on certain lines of the smile, that part was a little tricky. I kept going over my pencil line and I kept having to trim it up where I made little mistakes, but I had so much fun painting this on. And once it was all dry, I styled it in my kitchen for a darling look. If you haven't already and you're new to my channel, I hope that you will consider clicking that subscribe button and joining my friends here on this craft channel where I post weekly with lots of fun new ideas. We are going to be using the largest wreath form size that we can find, and I believe it's a 16 or 18 inch from the Dollar Tree, and a whole bunch of different florals. Now, almost every single thing came from the Dollar Tree except for this yellow flower. This little tiny wispy yellow flower. Everything else came from the Dollar Tree. So I'm going to start by popping off all of these whimsy flowers, these yellow ones, because I like to have something light and airy on the outer and inner part of my ring, and I'm going to show you what I mean. I start by first layering on something very dainty and flowy on the outside. And I forgot to mention, I did wrap around a ribbon. I just coiled it all around and glued it into place. Once I have that whimsy, wispy flower on the outside, I'm now going to come in with a very creamy carnation. And again, this is from the Dollar Tree, these creamy carnations. I'm just going to glue those sporadically around. I love that they had that burgundy color inside, so I added some of those. Then I'm going to come in with this burlap orange flower. I thought that this was just so beautiful, and it added in that beautiful fall orangey color. Now I'm adding in some burlap hydrangea. I thought that this was really beautiful, and you can see at this point that it's really starting to come to life. And you could technically stop at these colors, but I'm going to continue to take it a little bit further because I love playing with colors and I love trying to get that look in my house. So once I've got those hydrangeas in there, I'm now going to come in with my leaves. These leaves, I loved the color of them. I loved that it had a yellow undertone to them. It looked very much so like a leaf you would see at the fall time. So I'm going to fill in some of those areas. I think the thing with wreaths, for me personally in particular, I like to make sure that the color is well balanced like you would see in a garden. I want everything to look natural and beautiful as much as possible. Now this is where the surprise color is going to come in, and it's going to match that burgundy in those flowers we put on earlier. I'm going to add on 3 little clusters, and each one has 3 flowers within those clusters of this red peony flower. And now I'm going to add on the white sunflowers. There's a large and a small one that they have at the Dollar Tree, and it really just starts to bring everything to life. Now make sure you always remove all of your hot glue gun strings, because that is a thing. It makes it look like it was homemade. When you remove them, it makes it look more high-end. Now I'm going to come in with some pine cones and some little grains. I think that these are like wheat sticks. I'm not sure. Again, the Dollar Tree. And then the last flower I'm going to be adding on is this leaf that comes off of the pick that has pumpkins. You can see some of the pumpkins are in there too, and this leaf. So I'm just going to tuck all of that down in there and really just make sure that each thing has its own shiny moment. And at the very last finishing touch, I'm going to add on a beautiful bow off to the side that won't compete with the colors, and I love how it turned out. Now this turkey was picked up at Home Goods, and I have been searching far and wide for a turkey because I wanted to make one over to have a concrete cement look. So I was looking for a turkey that had a lot of detail. I ended up paying $15 for this turkey, and I was totally fine with that because turkeys, usually even this size, are easily $40 at certain decor stores. So I took it outside and I gave it a spray paint coat, and after that I'm now going to come in with white paint, and we are going to brush in that white paint into all of those crevices, and then use a paper towel, and we're going to wipe away the excess. So this is not a dry brush technique. This is an actual saturated paint brush where we are going to just use a paper towel and wipe away. The more paint on there, the better, because it's going to really get into those crevices. Now we're going to go the opposite with our paintbrush. Now we're going to get very, very light on there with the brown and do a dry brush. So you can see that I took the majority of the paint off, got a little bit on the head, and I'm drying it off on that paper towel and then coming in so I can hit those top parts to really bring out all the definition and make it look like a beautiful concrete statue. At the top, I was just stippling on by just tapping it with my paintbrush to really define the turkey's beak, and what a transformation. I'm so happy with it. I love using food cans because it is the easiest trash to treasure flip. I think that they are so affordable, and you can do so many cool things with them to help organize things around your house and to make something beautiful on a budget. Now I took my 3 cans outside, spray painted them white, and now I'm going to cover them with different sizes of this fabric that I found that matches my color theme for today. One of the cans is going to have a nice thick piece of fabric from the top to the bottom, leaving the white rim poking out. And then the other one is going to have a much smaller band of fabric around it, leaving more white exposed. And then the tallest one, we're going to jazz it up a little bit by putting on this white star button and some twine as well. I simply took it and just wrapped it around and glued it into place. Nothing too crazy here. And then for the little star, I just added some twine into the holes of the button and glued it into place. Now at this point, this extra special jar is going to get a floral arrangement in it using those really beautiful frosted leaves from the Dollar Tree. And at this point, it is so fun because you can put whatever you want inside of them.